Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we'll be going through the next batch of vintage Penguin paperbacks that I picked up at the barn find. And these are books 500 up to, well, not quite 600. I filled up an entire comic box, and that was, well, I would estimate probably about 80 or so books. So we'll be going through that entire box up to about number 580, 590. So that's what we'll be doing in today's video. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. So we'll start off with number 500, which is Major Barbara. And I don't expect we'll have anything like the amount of work that we've had with some of the books, the last lot that we did, which was the 300s to 500s. Some of the crime books I have put slightly lower grade copies into this run, simply because well, they are sought after, of course. But I don't think we're going to be too pushed on these. And well, we've started off with two quite nice condition books, haven't we? The Major Barbara, not uncommon, number 500. So this one's a little bit rough. Together, it's got a faded spine, 501, but it is quite a scarce one. This is sort of a bit more scarce than some of the other books around this period. So it is a little bit worn, this, but I think it's worth including. Particularly, I've got a couple of customers who are very keen to put runs of Penguin Cerise travel books together. So they're the ones I'm thinking of with these sorts of things, So even though it's a little bit low grade, it's all right. Dr. Johnson and Company. A little bit tanned, this one. So what I have to do, you may remember a little while back, I've already cleaned up the Penguin Crime up to number 1000. I have done all that from the previous collection, but none of it's been priced yet. So what I have to do with this lot, I have to clean this run, then I'm going to dig out the Penguin Crime books that I've already done and put those in order. Then I'm going to dig out what I had left of my existing stock from 5 to 600, and then I'm going to go through and get it all priced up. As I film this now, I'm on a race against time to get as much done as I possibly can before the Penguin Collectors Show, which, as we film this, is in 2 weeks' time. That, I think, is quite a nice one. This is a little bit. This is just a post-war crime, but it's in pretty nice condition. Little 25p there. Obviously, all the books that we're looking at here are first prints. There were some reprints in the earlier books, which I put to one side, but these later ones, I only found one actual reprint. One was for Hiroshima, which I pulled to one side, and one was for one of the crossword books, and that's a particularly nice and bright one, isn't it, for number 510. And these ones here, I'm going to pop them in a bag, and they're going to be really, they will be £3 or £4 because they're in such nice shape. Obviously, I need to. The thing is that's what causes the delay on these. I have to compare them against my own copies before I can allow them to be sold. Now, this one, we're going to do a little repair job there. This is another one of those slightly scarcer ones, a post-war crime, and well, yeah, the top of the spine and the bottom of the spine require some gluing. So let's pop some glue in there. That'll probably be enough, to be honest. Because this is a slightly scarcer one. But a little bit of spine wear will probably be all right for most collectors, because it's one that goes for, a few pounds more than usual, so we say. Not mega money, but some money, I think when I first started going through this collection, I pretty much wheedled out all the sort of really low-grade crime stuff. In fact, all the low-grade stuff in general. from this collection has been either put to one side. So a lot of the crime I've saved is reading copies for people. And I say, look, I've got these books here. They're literally free. I was thinking of putting them up in a job lot onto eBay, but honestly, I'd rather give people the chance to read the books for nothing. And certainly there's some books in there I pulled out myself as reading copies. I've given my dad's in hospital at the moment, so he's got one. He's a fan of the Father Brown books by G.K. Chesterton. So he's got all of them. And I remembered he enjoyed them because he had them in Pan Book. And when I was growing up, he gave me his Pan Book collection. Which included all his James Bonds, and that I was really, really made out. So, and he's partly responsible for sending me on this paperback journey. Right? I think that's as good as we're going to get, that one. So we've repaired it as well as possible. It's not perfect, but because it's a scarcer one, I didn't want to not give it the attention it deserves. This is a little bit rough, to be honest. After this point, unless the books are sort of pretty robust copies, they're not really going to be worth holding on to unless it's something particularly scarce, Yeah, this one's not great, sadly. I think we'll be able to repair it, though. We've seen worse. Yeah, it's quite brittle as well. That little fold there has actually just come off, but I think it's probably still worth putting a bit of glue in here, and we'll see what we can do. But yes, as I film this, I had got all my books, basically all my spares for the first 500 penguins out yesterday, and I put them on a couple of wooden bookcases, which are like portable ones. They're designed to be sort of taken to book shows and stuff. And I got to admit, it looked pretty darn good. I took some footage of it, so once again, if I can remember, I'll pop some of it into the video here so you can see what they looked like. They looked impressive, but I did say I wanted to bring my books between 500 and 1,000. So that means I need to get on and do these sooner rather than later, because I'm rapidly running out of time. I've only got 2 weeks, and I've still got some work days in there as well, with my regular work. So it's not like I've got 2 weeks just to do that, because I haven't. So I need to make the most of the time that I've got, and get these all cleaned up. So it's basically, I've got between 500 and 1,000, I've got 4 boxes to clean, and this was 1 box. So there's quite a lot of books in this 500 to 600 bracket, but maybe some of the later ones not so many. That's quite a nice copy, That's pretty nice, that. I'd say that's probably unread. And this is why I have to go through these books and compare against my own copies, so that I know I'm not getting rid of books which are actually in better condition than the copies already in my collection, And that one's a beauty, actually. A Cure of Flesh. Yeah, that's all right. Holy Terrors. Just a couple of little bent over pages there. A little bit of glue required, but apart from that, he's all right. There we are. Leave that a moment to set. So I've quickly swapped cameras because my the camera I was using was about to, it wasn't about to die, but after half an hour of constant filming, which is what I've been doing, I did a video before I did this for my main channel, the camera starts to sort of overheat. I'm due to upgrade my mobile phone next month, and then the one that I'm filming this one on will become my main one. So we'll actually have a couple which I can call on. So that's quite interesting. Hashish. Right, Richard Cavern here. A bit of a grubby crime title, but it is what it is. It's reasonably early. But yes, a little bit grubby. Just, yeah, you can see it's all coming away a little bit. So it is a little facet of these. So the glue that was used post-war is not the greatest. And it hasn't really survived that well. So that's why we're seeing quite a lot of books that need regluing. The books themselves have just about stayed in one piece, but the more they're read, the more likely they are to fall to bits, of course. There we are. Yeah, so I mean, it's not going to be big money or anything. It's just £2-3. This one, I was a little weary about putting it in because he's so worn. The spine is completely shot. However, once again, as I said, I've got a friend who is into travel books, and he just wants them to read. He's not too fussed about condition or if they're first prints or anything like that. So that particular one, I'm just going to put to one side. I'm not even going to include it in my stock. But I've got a separate pile from my friend. He's called Jeff, and he can have that one as a gift from me. He actually lives in Japan, so we're getting a little parcel to Japan organised for Jeff. You may have actually spotted him on YouTube. He's called Jeff's Cave of Cool Books, and he's got a really interesting collection of books, and I really like his sort of presentation style. Our tastes are very similar. We're about the same sort of age, and yeah, we've instantly hit it off. So do go and check Jeff's channel out because he's a nice guy. So you get a tiny little bit. You can see the spine's coming away, so it doesn't hurt to put a little tranche of glue in there just to keep it in one place. Stop it getting any worse. Lash of the Guard. That's okay. Oh, another copy of that one. About the same sort of condition, really. Yeah, also coming away at the spine in exactly the same way, because these would have been printed at the same time, at the same place, using the same materials. And consequently, they need the same bit of glue. It's mad, isn't it? Now, I'm filming this one today. It's a very early Saturday morning. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. But I've been out here since about 10 to 8. I've been away for ages. So I thought, yeah, let's go out and roll them cameras. So that's what we're doing. Now, amazingly, we've actually got a third copy of this one. And this one looks pretty nice. Like, it's much better than the first two that we've looked at. Yes, it's got a little stain on the front and a bit of foxing, but definitely better than the first two. It's much more bright. So let's see how this one's held up. Yeah. It is just the way that it's made, isn't it? Very, very weird. But that's a pretty nice copy of that one. So it's good to have the variety. Right, this one looks all right for a Cerise Sea Adventures. Henry de Montfried. 1946. A little bit foxed, but generally quite presentable, that one. Quite presentable. Elizabeth Bowen, The House in Paris. It's a little bit, is that pencil on the back? Yeah, it is, yeah. Someone, for whatever reason, has decided to put a couple of lines through her face. Now, I cannot condone such a practice. Seems alright, doesn't she? What have they got against Elizabeth Bowen? Oh, a bit of writing inside here as well. Not a lot, but a little bit. Not an easy place to rub out. Yeah, I mean, apart from that, it's not a bad copy at all, is it? A little 15p in the front there. Yeah, there we are. That's okay. Now I'm going to need to slide that pile all the way around because it's sort of full up. And now we got a bit of crime here. A Rope of Sand. So that's had a little over sticker put on it, which unfortunately has got a little bit rubbed, so we can't do much about that. So apart from that's it. So there's a little A here. There's actually nothing else we can do on this one. It does look. Yeah, I think these have been re-glued already. Someone has, those have come away at the bottom and the top, and someone has historically re-glued them already. It wasn't me, but someone has. It was a little clue. Right, Memoirs of a British Agent. Sir Bruce Lockhart. Okay. Quite a grubby biography one, this, sadly. But generally in reasonable condition. It's not awful by any means. It's robust. It's absolutely fine if someone wanted to read it. I suppose military history is a good subject, so someone might want this. It's just not tip top. And once again, I suspect, has that had some amateur restoration done? No. It's just a little bit, looks like it's about to go at the top, but it is what it is. Darkness at Noon, Arthur Kotzler. This is a little bit grubby. But I think with books like this, as long as you're not, gouging people, something like this is probably only going to be £2.50, something like that. I don't think that's expensive for a book which is, what's this, 1946? It's like 80 years old, 79 years old. You have to expect a little bit of wear, I know beautiful mint copies are out there, but they're not common. Right, this is maddeningly bizarre. We got 4 copies of the third Penguin's Problem book. 4 copies of it, so let's have a look. If they're a little bit too low grade, they're not really worth keeping, but that one is untouched. It's got a little 50p in, so it looks pretty nice condition for that. So that's all right. That's okay. This one I think looks, well, on the spine, it had the best looking spine, but it's got some foxing on the front, so perhaps not quite as good a copy. But once again, none of the puzzles have been attempted. It's a bit like finding a crossword book which hasn't had any crosswords done, This one's got a little name there, Richard Chatler's or something like that. So I wonder if this has been attempted. Yeah, this has got a couple of things. There was one in pencil by the look of it, but yeah, so that's a little bit lower grade. And it has got the previous owner's name stamp on. Probably the person who bought it. My glue got a bit stuck there, so we're going to get this all over our thumb. This is one of those multi-layered sort of repairs. So yeah, so that wasn't such a nice copy. And ridiculously, we've actually got a fourth, which is just bananas, isn't it? In fact, they're the colour of bananas. And that one's okay. So it's just that one in the middle there, which would be a little bit cheaper, but the other ones seem okay. Right, now this is another one, which is a travel book, but it's missing the top of the spine, and it's also, the spine is completely faded. So once again, because of the period that it's in, I'm just going to put this one in my freebie pile for my friend Jeff. So that's going to go over that side. He can have that one. Right. Oh my goodness. This one, we've got 5 copies of it. That's ridiculous. 5 copies. Now, I think this one on the top, well, let's just work through bit by bit. I think at least one of those is not going to be worth keeping. Now that one, this one actually seems quite robust, but look, it's got 574 on the front. So it does look like that's in pencil though. The brass bottle. Yeah, let's see if we can get this off. Yes, 5 copies seems a little excessive, doesn't it? But if we can clean it up, this is a nice copy of this one, nice example really. It's not bad. It's a shame the writing on the front was written in quite deeply, so even though it has caused a little bit of the orange to wear off a little bit. Why would someone do such a thing, eh? Why? And I think that's about as good as we're going to get, that one. So not great, slightly rubbed, but not awful by any means. All right, then we've got another copy here. This one's got 20p on the front. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Just say it's a little bit at the top of the spine there again. I've just noticed as I put that on the stack. Yeah. Needs a tiny blob of glue in there. And that should do it. Brilliant. Right, I'm going to go back to my old camera now, which should have cooled down a bit. Okay, so we're back on with our original camera now, and yet another copy of the brass bottle. How many copies does one person need, eh? So again, this has got a tiny bit at the bottom of the spine that's coming away, so it's not ideal. There is only one particularly bad looking one, and I think that's probably one I won't bother putting into stock because, you know, I'm going to have 4 copies as it is, and I may even already have one in my stock of penguins anyway, in which case, you know, I've got enough. So the lowest grade one can be sacrificed, as it were. This had 70p GS. Then that was crossed out. And then it had 40p ES. So whatever that meant. But 70p for whatever, whenever this was sold, second hand, was a bit too much. Okay. Then this is the last one, and look, it's got a big sticker on the front, and it's really, really worn. Yeah, that's not really worth keeping when I've got 4 other copies anyway. So that one can go to one side. This one looks quite nice, doesn't it? Trent's Own Case, 543. That's pretty nice. And in fact, this may even be a contender for a better one than my current copy. Yeah, look at that. That's really nice, that. That's a nice copy. Just looking for the printing history, in 1946. Looks like there was a little, very, very faint, like shilling or something on the front, or 2 shillings, which I think we've got. But that's a nice copy of that one. Much better than average. Right. The New House. Lettuce Cooper. A little bit grubby. It's evidently been read a time or two. But not the end of the world. Just general sort of handling wear, really. Now, this next one we've got 3 copies of. And once again, one of them is, that one is particularly bad. I think the other 2 we can save. But this one here is heavily foxed. It's not a scarce book. And I think he's just a bit too far gone, unfortunately, to keep into stock. We have, however, got 2 reasonable copies which aren't too badly marked. This one's still got a little bit of foxing, but nowhere near as bad as that last one. Need to turn the cover over there. Little 10p. Okay. It's not mint, but yeah, just about hanging in there. These will all get reviewed again before I price them up, and if I decide they're just not worth it, they will be rejected. And this one's missing a bit from the bottom of the spine, so neither of them perfect. I suppose we do have to remember the period that these were printed, but these are around in nice nick if you're patient. It's just I haven't got them in this particular run, you know, so it's more bad luck than anything else. I know that there are nice copies out there. Okay. Another Saki, The Chronicles of Clovis. A little bit of wear at the bottom of the spine. Yeah, it's definitely had some... Sadly, it's definitely had a little bit of wear, this one. So we sort of need to get a tiny bit of glue in there. And another bit along there, basically. Let's see if we can pull that together. It's virtually, this little bit of spine is virtually flicked off. Right, all we can do with that now is just leave it to dry of its own accord. Virginus. Now this is one that I'm actually after a better copy of, and it just doesn't seem to turn up in nice nick. And we've got 2 copies here. I don't think either of them are that good. This is on my list of upgrades, and mine is it's a little bit better than that, but it's not great. And here's another copy of it, and this is the same book. Is that in pencil? And once again, not in great shape. I think it's one of those ones that's just hard to find in nice condition. There are a few wartime books that seemingly just don't seem to be out there in nice shape, and it's weird. It may have just been down to where it was printed, possibly. I just don't know. But I will compare it against my own one, of course, and see if we can see if it is an improver or not. But I don't think it is. But it is one of those scarcer ones. Tiny bit coming away at the bottom of the spine there, which we'll catch. Yeah, a little bit sort of grubby, that one. But it is what it is. Right, the Napoleon of Notting Hill. That's quite a cool one. Chesterton's still reasonably well read, you know, Chesterton, for an older author. Mainly for the Father Brown books, of course. And the TV adaptations of those go down very well, so that's probably not hurt his reputation. My dad's reading one at the moment and loving it. That's a pretty nice copy of that one, to be honest. Just the spine. Once again, that needed a bit of a tidy up. We've seen it so often, haven't we? Yeah, there we are. That's fine. This one on the face of it seems quite nice. There's a little bit of wear at the top of the spine there, but Peter Waring. Little 15p. So yes, just up there. So let's put a little bit of glue into that bit. Now, it may be multi-layered. We'll have a look in a sec. No, I think that's actually got it. We'll be all right with that. Yeah, that's not too bad. All right, let's slide that pile around. Power of the Dog. This is a double volume, but once again, it's quite. He is quite. It's got the flyer in. It is quite worn, this one. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a bit grubby. That's all. Beau Sabura. This is by the author of Beau Jest. P.C. Wren. Okay, that's not bad. A little spine split at the bottom, so I need to bear that in mind. Right, A Child of the Jago. There we are. Yeah, he's okay. Another copy here, much more worn. In fact, I don't think I'm going to keep this one. I've got yet another copy in a minute, but this one's too far gone. It's a little too far gone, that one. But this one, on the face of it, looks a bit better. I said they're just not worth keeping if they're low grade. They just don't have any value at all. None at all. So that what I do is I've got a little pile that go to the charity shop. Sometimes they stick them out. Sometimes I think they stick them in the bin. But I've got with my local Oxfam, which sells books quite a bit, I've set up a thing so everything I hand in, I just stick a sticker on it and it comes in as gift aid, and they can make a little bit more on it then. Quite a famous one here by Graham Greene, where they famously spelt his name wrong. He didn't really forgive them for about 15 years. He did forgive them in the end, though. But that's actually a pretty nice copy of that one. That is all right. That's pretty nice. I expect that one to go quite well. Now a run of Bernard Shaw's, which, you know, I'm not a massive fan of these. They released 10 at the same time, and they don't sell for much. So these need to be pretty much near perfect, or they're just not worth holding. They're incredibly common. There's 100,000 of each printed, and they're not difficult to get at all. So they do need to be reasonably nice condition. And that's just about okay. That's all right. It's another copy. Very, very susceptible for the red to fade, which is just, red is one of those colours that does fade, unfortunately. It is what it is. That's okay. So that was Plays Pleasant. This is Plays Unpleasant. That's a little bit better. A 25p sticker in the front, but that's fine. Another copy there. Not too bad. That's a bit brighter red spine, but they are difficult to find with really, really bright red spines. That's the thing to look for, because the instant they catch a little bit of sun, that's it. You know, they just fade. So that's evidently the same collection, because it's got another 25p sticker inside, which is quite interesting. May have been picked up at the same time. How many copies? Look at that. Look at that, how faded that one is. Yeah, see that? For that most common book is not worth keeping. Here's our fourth copy of it. And this is the same. It's you know, it's not worth keeping. No one's going to have it. We have to be realistic here. That's quite nice. Look at that red spine. See, they do exist, but they're few and far between. This one isn't too bad, to be honest. But look at that. But this one is actually worth saving. It's the only copy we've got of it, and it has got that red spine. So I think it's worth re-gluing the spine back in, because it is better than most, let's put it that way. Once again, it's just down to the glue that was used at the time, nothing more than that. There we are, Man and Superman. Right, the Doctor's Dilemma. This This one's slightly misprinted. I don't know if you spotted it. I'll show you again in a second. It's a nice copy of this, but you can see the white of the penguin is slightly lower than where it should be. Consequently, it is sadly not perfect, but okay. That's a perfect one. So that's, if we compare the two, you can see the penguin logo, it's just slightly out. So that's a misprint. This one's better. Nice spine on it. That's how you want these. This is about as good as you're going to get. So that's how I'd like all mine. They're not all like that. Some of mine have got faded spines and stuff. So I will definitely be comparing these against my own copies. But they have to be tip-top this particular run, else they're just not worth the effort of carrying around, because no one's going to want them. And I shall definitely be re-evaluating my stock of books between 500 and 1,000, just to make sure I'm not carrying any rubbish, really. Right, St. Joan. We're almost at the end of them. But as I said, they did publish 10. So that's not too bad. A little bit of wear, but not too bad. Here's another copy, much, much more worn and faded on the spine. Yeah, look at this. I don't even need to go any further. It's no good. Right, here's another copy, slightly less worn than the last one. Yeah, no, it's got a tear. No, instantly, it's not worth keeping, unfortunately. Right, Androcles and the Lion. This has got a worn spine. It might be worth saving this one. It's borderline, but I will re-glue this spine, I think, because apart from that, it's not too bad. Yeah, I'll see how that, when I go through and price these, I'll see how that tots up against the rest of the stock, to be honest. There is another copy of this one, but in fact it looks even worse than the first one we've done. Once again, the spine's come away. Mad, isn't it? Yeah, and the staining on it, it's not worth keeping. Not for a book that, even if it was perfect, would only be selling for about £2.50 to £3. It's not worth me keeping it. Right, Black Girl in Search of God. This has got a very darkened spine, which is not ideal. But apart from that, it's all right. So we'll keep it as an alternative copy. We have got 2 more of it by the look of it. So this one looks much better, 5, 6, 7, much more robust and a better looking copy. That's really how we want them, isn't it? A little 30p inside. So I have now worked out the cleaning videos and how they're going to be going out over the next few months, but it's not the order that they're going out is not the order that they're being filmed in. So it's not really worth going over how I'm going to be doing it. But basically, I mean, it's going to be Penguin Crime books. That's actually pretty nice. Penguin Crime and Penguin Barn Find, so alternate weeks. But other stuff that we've got, which isn't Penguin, or is Penguin, but it's different series, like Penguin Ham books. We've got Albatross books. We've got Touch Niche paperbacks. Those sorts of things. I'm going to mix those in as we go along. So in actual fact, today is Puffin Picture Books. Is the one that goes live on the channel today. But I'd like to mix it up a bit so it gets, at least it gets the other stuff processed, not just all main series. But there we are, that's all right. So that is thankfully the end of the Bernard Shaws. We've got a much more interesting author coming up where they published 10, and that's H.G. Wells. So we've got those coming up in just a minute. This one is quite a tight copy. It's another one of those ones that needs a really good brush. But yeah, quite. It's like it's lost all suppleness. You know what I mean? Probably never been opened since the book was published. You know, it's very weird. But we'll give it a brush and we'll see if we can do some CPR to get it back into business. Right, first time I've seen a crime book in a while. It's a shame it's got a little nick down the bottom there, but we might be able to sort that out. It looks like it's a multi-stage repair. What's it like inside? So a couple of pages need to turn over. This, I think, is reasonably scarce, this one, actually. I don't think I've ever had a spare of it before. Not that I can remember. Just trying to get those flat. There we are. A little page edge browning. Now there is a loose page there, which is a real bloody shame. That is a shame because it is a scarce one, this. But that loose page is quite a serious defect. But it is a crime one. If this was a regular fiction, I wouldn't even be entertaining trying to repair it. So I'm just going to move that bit up there. So it is all still complete. And it will just be a cheap and cheerful one for somebody, but someone should be happy with that because, as I said, this book is actually reasonably scarce, you know? So we need to do this multi-stage. So that's the first bit. Glue back in. Let's put that on there. Then that's that. And this bit here needs to fold out. Like so. So we can then pop a bit of glue in there onto that bit. And fold it back over. And that should do the trick. Yeah, there we are. So it's a shame that it's got that loose page, but at the end of the day, it's still worth keeping, I believe. That particular one. Right. Now a real favourite of mine, number 570. This is the run of H.G. Wells's now. And a real favourite of mine, which is The War of the Worlds. Now, I'm not sure if this copy is better than the one I've got. Of this 10 that they published, I haven't got them all in tip-top shape, but most of them are all right. So I suspect that this may be an improver. That's a pretty nice copy of that, of what is, let's be honest, it's a key book, isn't it? I see the 1 shilling has got a pencil mark through it. And I don't know, but you do come across these H.G. Wells's, and they've been unread. They're like, and I wonder if, because we saw that crossed out, I wonder if at the time they didn't sell that well and they ended up getting remaindered. That would be quite interesting. Well, not remainder, but knocked down in price in the bookshops. Island of Dr. Moreau. We're actually not that far off doing them all, doing this box now, but we're not quite there yet. And of course, all of these need a brush at the end. We haven't brushed anything yet. And it's such a nice day, I suspect I'll be able to do that outside, which will be good for the studio, I can tell you. There we are. So that's pretty nice. Right, I'm going to change the camera once more. Right, love Mr. Lewisham. Now this one's got a little bit of wear at the top there, but hopefully we'll be able to redeem it. Certainly these H.G. Wells books he is an author that still sells. So these ones are in demand. The thing is with this glue, it goes hard so quickly on the end. Yeah, this is going to be a multi-stage one again. So that's the initial bit down. Then we need to put another blob in to do the outside, because it's just, as I said, it's 2-ply. But worth saving. There is another copy and it does look really nice condition. There we are. Okay, this one looks pretty sharp. A little bit miscut. Look how low the number is. But I seem to remember that was the case with some of these H.G. Wells's, Quite nice white paper. I don't think that's too bad at all. That's a pretty nice example of that one, and it could be even better than my own one. This is another one which doesn't always turn up in nice shape. This one's not brilliant, but it's not bad for the Time Machine. I always remember when I was young, I used to have the Time Machine on audiobook, and it was read by Robert Hardy, the great actor from, well, All Creatures Great and Small, I suppose, is one of his most famous roles, but such a great narrator of audiobooks. He did all the Patrick O'Brien's in abridged form, but he's just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And his audiobook of The Time Machine was just awesome. I loved it. It must have been abridged, thinking about it, because that's actually quite a long book. But, right, the history of Mr. Polly. Okay, that's all right. And then we've got Tono Bungay. This one, this one's got that wear down the bottom, you can see. Looks a pretty straightforward repair. Let's see what he's like inside. Let's get a 15p in the corner there. Okay, so that's where we need to sort of repair it, isn't it? So it's a little bit, it's actually goes up the spine a little bit further than I thought. We might have to tackle this in 2 bits. Let's see. Oh no, I think we're going to be all right. It looks like it has gone down onto that bit at the bottom of the spine where it became detached. So that's okay. So I think that was actually a little bit more straightforward than I was thinking. We managed to get it all in one hit there. So that does just need to dry. That's all right. Glue's getting very mucky. So we got just one more H.G. Wells, which is the new Machiavelli. Same place, look, it's gone in the bottom again. Same spot. Just a facet of these particular books as they're read, I think, you know. There we are, 50p. Once again with this one, the spine's in place, it's just this bit here. There we are. Bit squidgy, but let's see how we get on. Well, I think that's as good as we're going to get it. For the new Machiavelli. Right. The Tragic Comedians. So that's all the H.G. Wells is done now. George Meredith. Yeah, that's a really nice, clean, bright copy of that one, so that's nice. 2 years before the Mass. This is a double volume. A nice entry in the travel series. Yeah, it's a little bit of a darkened spine, but that's nice, that, and not that common, I wouldn't think, that one. Right, Hilaire Belloc, the green overcoats. This is a little bit grubby, and look at that. It's got a piece out the bottom like that, and on a book like this, which is generally quite cheap anyway, a defect such as that is not something I want to be carrying around. Right, this one is also not great. The Cardinal Snuff Box. It's got a Save the Children sticker on. Splosh on the back there. And it's quite heavily foxed. But the actual pages aren't too bad. Let's see if we can save this, shall we? It's not great, you know. If we can get this sticker off, we'll save it. If the sticker comes off and leaves a mark, it's going to go to the charity shop, which is where it came from in the beginning. In actual fact, from a Save the Children charity shop. Yeah, I think he's going to leave a mark, you know. Yeah, look, it's going to just tear. It's taking the orange off. No, unfortunately, no collector is going to want that. So it has to be rejected. There is another copy of it here, though. So here's another one. This one's got a circle there. Looks like a bottle of Tipex has gone on it or something. Just about. It's borderline, but it'll be cheap. It'll be cheerful. This one's quite bright. Look at the bright spine there for the Club of Queer Trades. Another G.K. Chesterton. Obviously his Father Brown books got published as green crime titles, and I like we're going to need to reglue it. Let's just go through the books, see if there's anything else that needs doing. I don't think there is. It's absolutely fine. We just need to reglue it down there. So getting through the old glue today, aren't we? I better order some more. I actually don't have another bottle of this in reserve, but we've been getting through it so quickly with so much repair work recently. Yeah, generally speaking, on the face of it, that looked a really nice bright copy, but we're having to reglue the spine. You can see the muck around the penguin logo there. It's like it's been splattered with something, which is a shame. But it's all right, generally. It's quite a nice bright copy, so it'll still be okay for somebody. And it is Chesterton, as we said earlier on. He is quite still well read as an author, you know, still well read. Okay. Seeing at the very top of this book, there's also some glue required. But it's multi-stage, so whether we can actually just get it in or not, let's just see. Just about. Right, we'll leave that as is. Okay, Nordenholtz Millions. Now this is quite worn, so I'm not sure how well this is going to hold up. Yeah, that is quite a worn old example, that one. I'm afraid to say. Well read. I mean, there's nothing physically wrong with it. It's not too bad. We do have another copy. This is a bit more robust. It hasn't been read so many times, and is a better example. I think that other one, it's just a little bit too far gone. It was right on the cusp, but I'm going to reject it. I am going to be strict with these post 500 books because I just don't want to be holding on to stuff that no one's really going to want. The collectors are a fussy breed, and they expect good quality, and I don't want to be dealing in stuff that's not quite there. Right, here comes the copper. A nice bit of crime. Henry Wade. Looks like we've got a bit of spine repair to do in a minute. Yeah, so 2 bits of spine repair to do. First, where it's come away. So that sorts that out. And then down here, you can see it's split. So we need to just pull that back. There we are. So not perfect, but not bad, and definitely worth saving. So that's okay. Right, now another one here, another copy of the same book. So a little bit of the spine needing to be re-glued. In fact, this one's come away more than I realised. There we are, look, it's actually come right off. But that may make it a bit easier to actually repair, to be honest. But yeah, still worth keeping that. Being a crime title as well, and obviously the crime is what people love. They love that classic Penguin crime. There we are. Right, another crime one, not to be taken. Just about holding itself together. The Twilight of the Gods, 586. So as I said, I couldn't quite fit in the box up to number 600. So it's not a full consecutive 100 this time, but they are all in order. 587 and 588 is where our run lies. Another Chesterton. A few marks inside, but that's fine. That's not too bad. A Narrow Street. Eliot Poole, another double volume. £15p. And then another copy of A Narrow Street. Not quite as nice. Got that marking in the back there, which is a shame. Yeah, that's not great, that one, to be honest. It's really worn and the spine's awful. It's not really a collectible copy. So there we go. So that's that. So the last and final stage then is to give these books a brush. Okay, so we're going to give these a good brush now. And it does feel better that we've wheedled out the lower grade copies. It does make quite the difference, I can tell you. Doing a bit of a balancing act with this little lot here. But that's okay. As you can see, it's another lovely day. It's coming towards the tail end of August 2025 as I do this. And we've not had too bad a summer, I suppose. There's the first stack. We've got 4 stacks to clean today, or to brush, I should say. And I don't think these were overly dusty, but some of them had like cobwebs on. So they were a bit insecty, shall we say, if that is indeed a word. Okay, that's halfway through. All your blimmin' Bernard Shaws now. Not a fan, I'm afraid. Still, we've saved the best of them. There we are. Right, one more stack to do, and they are over here. Good old Herbert George. Lovely. Well, if you've enjoyed today's video, which I really hope you have, I've enjoyed going through these books. Nice period in Penguin history. Do please give the video a thumbs up. Do please, of course, hit that subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage weekly book cleaning content. And I'll look forward to seeing you again in 7 days' time with another video. Bye.